Imagine you're describing a friend's fashion sense in IELTS Part 2. Would you just say, "She dresses well"? That's not enough. Let's learn powerful words like effortlessly chic and well-tailored that take your answer to the next level. Welcome to Vocab Booster Lesson 3. Today we're going to learn words to describe clothing, style, fit, colours, and how clothes work together. These words will help you talk about outfits clearly in IELTS speaking, whether you're describing your own style, someone else's look, or how clothes are coordinated. Let's begin with some expressions that describe someone's overall style and appearance. The first one is effortlessly chic. This describes a person who looks fashionable without looking like they tried too hard. Imagine someone wearing just jeans and a simple white shirt, but they still look incredibly stylish. For example, she looked effortlessly chic in a plain white dress and sandals. Or, his style is effortlessly chic, casual but very elegant. In Part 2, if you're asked to describe a stylish person you know, saying they're effortlessly chic sounds much more advanced than just fashionable. A similar phrase is put together. If someone looks put together, their whole appearance is neat and coordinated. Their clothes match, their hair looks tidy, and they give off a polished impression. For example, even on busy days, she always looks put together. Or, wearing a blazer can instantly make you look more put together. In Part 1, if you're asked about your clothing style, you could say, "I like to look put together, so I try to choose outfits that are neat but comfortable." Another very useful phrase is impeccably groomed. Let's break this phrase into two parts. First, impeccably means perfectly, or without any mistakes. If something is impeccable, it is flawless. Second, groomed means well cared for in terms of appearance. Tidy hair, clean clothes, polished shoes, neat overall presentation. So, when we say someone is impeccably groomed, it means their entire appearance is flawless. Hair, clothes, shoes, even small details like nails or accessories. Everything looks polished and carefully maintained. For example, the lawyer was impeccably groomed, with polished shoes and a sharp haircut. Or, he's always impeccably groomed for business meetings. In Part 3, if you're asked about professional dress codes, you could say, in some jobs, people are expected to be impeccably groomed to create a strong impression. Now let's move on to some vocabulary for the fit and shape of clothes. The first one is well-tailored. Tailoring is the process of making clothes fit perfectly to your body. So when we say something is well-tailored, it means it fits cleanly and sharply. For example, he wore a well-tailored suit to the interview. Or, a well-tailored jacket can completely transform your appearance. In Part 2, if you're describing what you wore for a wedding or a special event, this is much more advanced than just saying a nice suit, in contrast to well-tailored, which describes clothes that fit perfectly and look sharp. We have looser fitting. This describes clothes that are not tight, giving a more relaxed and comfortable feel. For example, I prefer looser fitting trousers in summer because they're cooler. Or, baggy jeans are a looser fitting style that's popular among young people. In Part 1, if you're asked what you usually wear at home, you could say, "At home I prefer looser fitting clothes because they're more comfortable." Another fashion-related term is high-waisted. This describes trousers or skirts that sit above the hips, usually around the belly button. They were popular decades ago, and they've come back into fashion. For example, high-waisted jeans from the 90s are trendy again. Or, she wore a high-waisted skirt with a tucked-in blouse, which made her look taller. In Part 2, this word is especially helpful if you're describing a person's style or an item of clothing in detail. For instance, if you're asked to describe a family member or a close friend, you could say, "My sister usually wears high-waisted jeans which really suit her." And then we have well-structured. When a piece of clothing is well-structured, it has a strong, clear shape rather than being floppy or shapeless. For example, a well-structured blazer gives you a professional look. Or, her handbag is very well-structured and never loses its shape. In Part 3, if you're discussing how fashion can influence confidence, you could say, wearing well-structured clothes makes people feel more confident and professional. So we've looked at style and fit. Now let's move on to some words that describe how we wear and combine clothes. One very useful verb is layer. To layer clothes means to wear several pieces on top of each other, either for warmth or for style. For example, in winter people layer sweaters, coats and scarves. Or, he layered a denim jacket over a hoodie for a relaxed look. In part 1, if you were asked what you wear in winter, you could say, I usually layer different clothes, like a jumper with a coat and a scarf. Another verb is complement. If one piece of clothing complements another, it means they go well together and make each other look better. For example, that scarf complements your jacket perfectly. Or, muted colours often complement brighter accessories. In part 2, if you're describing a stylish person, you could say, her handbag complemented her dress beautifully. This is more sophisticated than just saying, it matched. The next one is pair. To pair clothes means to put them together to create an outfit. For example, she paired her skirt with a simple white turtleneck. Or, you can pair sneakers with a dress for a modern look. In part 1, you might say, I like to pair jeans with a blazer for a smart, casual look. Now let's talk about some specific clothing items. The first is garments. At its simplest, garments just means clothes, but it's a much more formal and professional word. For example, the shop sells luxury garments made from silk and wool. Or, traditional garments are still worn at weddings in my country. The word has a professional, almost technical feel. It's commonly used in the fashion industry, manufacturing, or legal context to refer to any piece of clothing without saying exactly what type. For example, a factory might report, we produced 10,000 garments last quarter. Or a designer might say, this garment is made from pure silk. Now, an important point. In modern everyday conversation, people rarely say a garment. That sounds too formal or old-fashioned. The plural form, garments, is much more common, especially when talking about traditional dress or the clothing industry. In IELTS speaking, using garments can give your answer a slightly more sophisticated tone, especially in part 3 when discussing culture or fashion. For instance, you might say, in my culture, people wear traditional garments during festivals. But if you're talking about your daily clothes in part 1 or part 2, it's more natural to just say clothes or outfit. Next is knitwear. Knitwear refers to clothes made of knitted fabric, usually wool or cotton, things like sweaters, cardigans and jumpers. For example, I practically live in knitwear during the winter. Or, knitwear shops are very popular in colder countries. In part 1, if you were asked about winter clothing, you could say, I wear knitwear like jumpers and cardigans. Another keyword is blazer. A blazer is a type of jacket that's smarter than a casual jacket, but not as formal as a suit jacket. For example, he wore a blazer with jeans for a smart casual look. Or, a navy blazer is versatile. You can wear it to work or to dinner. In part 2, this is a strong word to use if you are describing an outfit for a job interview. Then we have cardigan. A cardigan is a knitted sweater that opens at the front and usually has buttons. For example, she wore a cardigan over her dress for extra warmth. Or, cardigans are easy to layer in autumn. In part 1, this is a natural choice if you're describing what you wear in cooler seasons. Jumper is another useful word. In British English, a jumper means a sweater, usually a pullover. For example, I bought 2 wool jumpers for winter. Or, he wore a jumper with a collared shirt underneath. In part 1, if you're asked what you wear in winter, you could say, in winter I usually wear a jumper over a shirt and a coat when I go outside. And finally, the turtleneck. A turtleneck is a jumper with a high-rolled collar that covers the neck. For example, a black turtleneck is simple but very stylish. Or, turtlenecks are great for layering in winter. This word is excellent for part 2 if you're describing a favourite outfit. To wrap up our vocabulary, let's look at 4 expressions that describe colours and versatility in fashion. The first one is muted colours. These are soft, subtle shades, not bright or flashy. Think of colours like beige, grey, navy, or olive green. For example, muted colours like grey and beige are common in office wear. Or, she decorated her flat with muted colours to create a calm atmosphere. In part 1, if you're describing your own clothing style, you might say, I usually wear muted colours because they are easy to mix and match. In contrast, we have bold colours. These are strong, bright shades that really stand out, like red, bright yellow, or electric blue. For example, she wore a bold red dress to the party and everyone noticed her. Or, bold colours are often used in summer collections. In part 3, if you're asked whether young people dress differently from older people, you could say, younger people tend to experiment more with bold colours, while older generations prefer safer choices. Next is neutral tones. These are very basic colours like white, black, beige, or grey that work with almost anything. For example, neutral tones like beige and black are versatile because they match with everything. Or, many people buy neutral-toned coats so they can wear them every day. In part 1, if you're asked what kind of colours you prefer, you could say, I usually choose neutral tones because they're practical and easy to combine. And finally, the word versatile. If something is versatile, it can be used in many different situations. A versatile item of clothing works for casual, formal, and everything in between. For example, a white shirt is versatile. You can wear it with jeans or with a suit. Or, jeans are probably the most versatile piece of clothing ever made. When asked about what you usually wear in part 1, you could say, I prefer versatile clothes because I can wear them in different situations such as work, casual outings, or social events. That brings us to the end of Vocab Booster Lesson 3. We've covered a set of powerful words to describe clothes and fashion. Words you can use not only if the topic comes up directly, but also in many other speaking answers. Remember, the goal isn't to memorize long lists, but to make these words part of your active vocabulary. Try slipping them naturally into your answers. For example, when describing your own style, talking about a friend, or discussing cultural traditions. This way you'll sound more fluent, more precise, and much more confident in the IELTS speaking test. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Vocab Booster lesson.